Anyway, my name is Christine Hultquist. I'm the Executive Director of the Vermont Community Broadband Board. We were established in August with the task of getting every Vermonter connected to fiber optic broadband. I'm very excited to be doing this. I've been trying to work on this since 2003. We finally have enough money to do it, I think. Actually, it wasn't fiber in 2003, but now it's fiber. So anyway, there's two of us on staff right now, and we're kind of pulling our hair out, working every minute. So we certainly need all the help we can get when we're going to be hiring positions. But the GIS services is probably one of the most important things we need right now. Of course, designing networks without GIS is like driving your car at night with the lights off. So it's a critical tool for us. So I've prepared, about a 15-minute presentation just to give you an overview. It's all repetitive from what's in the document, but I go through it with my own words and then take questions and we'll go from there. Does that sound okay to everybody? Okay, I'll get started. Let's make sure I can do this. Still not quite used to Teams. I'm just trying to fade the share screen.
Top right.
Upper right, okay. Share content, there we go. Can you see the slides?
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, I'll talk about our responsibilities were given to us by the legislature. I'll kind of give us a quick summary of what we're doing. We're committed to universal service for every address in Vermont. The method to get there is Vermont has set up what are called communication union districts. Their towns come together to form a municipal union district, and it has all the qualities except for taxation in terms of municipals, specifically allowing to issue revenue bonds. So,
Christine, quick question. Will this PowerPoint or whatever presentation you're using be available to us later?
Oh, sure. I'll be glad to send it to you.
Great. Thank you. Good
question. Yeah, thanks. The CUDs right now, about 2/3 of the towns are members of CUDs. It covers about 90% of the unserved addresses in the state. So it's providing a good tool for getting the money and the funding out. And we're providing the funding as well as the technical and administrative support to accomplish this goal. And we're providing grants. Right now we have 150 million. Next year, 2022, the governor's committed another 100 million. With 250 million, I believe we can get every Vermonter connected. The total cost of the project will be about 500 million, but we're working in partnership with existing telecom providers to, extend their networks at lower cost to get into some of these lower density areas. So we're forming partnerships between the CUDs and it's a public-private partnership. We're focused right now on workforce and material shortages. We're pre-positioning materials. Fiber optic cable right now has up to a 30-week lead time, and we're going to pre-purchase that and get it in inventory so that we don't miss next year's construction season. And we're also identifying other opportunities for funding. So if you look at the goals for GIS, there's several goals, and those goals, of course, assume different levels of dexterity in using GIS. From the informing Vermonters, which have limited dexterity, we want to inform the Vermonters. We want to be able to, update them on the current broadband status by E91 and give them an opportunity to provide ground truth. The existing data is provided by the telecom providers. It's been a problem for years that the data is not accurate. We show about 69,000 unserved addresses, but the number is probably close to 100,000. So, we want to be able to give the consumer an opportunity to say, hey, wait a second, you show that I've served at 25.3, and the reality is I don't have any service. So somehow getting feedback. We want to each one of these CUDs are providing a 5-year construction plan, connection plan, so that somebody could click on their 911 address and see when the planned construction is. Of course, like anything else, plan versus actual is going to vary, which leads to the next bullet, which, the 5-year construction plan probably have about a 50% confidence level in it, but the near-term construction, it has over a 90% confidence level. So as we get closer to the time that we committed, we want the consumer to be able to actually see the more of a real-time update. And we want to be able to see connection completion and verification, and provide broadband service provider options by E911 location. So the locations are going to be served by different providers. We want to be able to do performance reporting. Performance reporting is fairly straightforward in the connectivity world, because you're talking about upload download speeds and latency, and there's the first time verification, and then there's tools for providing ongoing performance by E911 address as well. And then of course we want to be able to roll that up. And I talk about some of these things may not be in your wheelhouse, but if the data is there, we can figure out how to aggregate it and put it into reporting. I'm not expecting you all to have be able to do this in every single area but I'm just kind of giving you the overall goals right now for data. We want technology appropriate layers, the user appropriate layers from the skill levels I talked about. There's the consumer, then there's the analyst. I consider myself a GIS analyst. I run QGIS before I got here. Now I'm a Microsoft platform, but I use QGIS during meetings just to quickly answer questions of boards and things like that. And then there's the designer level, which is really you folks. And analytical tools, as I was using it for the board member or public might ask, how many people are in this town and how many people are served and unserved, and you do a quick polygon and export, and you can see, so we do those. We wanted to be able to do that analysis ongoing, because it's always better to make decisions based on data. And we want to integrate with AOT platforms, the electric utilities, Green Mountain Power, Washington Electric Co-op, and Vermont Electric Co-op have all committed to integrate with our platforms. Of course, we'll be using the state GIS. The GIS specifications are already established. So, a lot of the municipals have data. Not all of them. We're working with the municipals to be able to get ongoing data as well. The rural planning commissions, the CUDs, and the telecommunication companies. We're working through we think we've got the telecommunication companies committed to share their data now. In the past, they claimed it was confidential, but my argument with them is it's not very confidential. You can drive out and see it and put it on your chart yourself. And that's what we were prepared to do. So some of the layer specifics. Right now, most of the CUDs have completed high-level designs. High-level design, and all these are in shapefile format, following the Vermont standard. I don't exactly remember what that CRS was, but anyway, essentially a high-level design is a fiber route map, and it follows the electric pole routes or the Vermont centerline data. It includes known electric and telecommunications infrastructure, and all those, those layers are all available on GIS. Those other layers, so they just integrate with those layers. What we're working on right now is detailed design. Detailed design is, just to give you an idea, high-level design for a CUD, costs between $50,000 and $75,000. A detailed design is in the millions. The detailed design, what you get as a result of a detailed design is actually a construction plan. You get the final routes, the hardware, the bridges and railroad and stream crossings, schools, libraries, etc. equipment, hardware tables, interconnection points, and all that will be available in shapefile data as well. We're making that a requirement of all these vendors that they be able to export this. And we're also making a requirement for the construction. I'm not quite there yet, but I know I can get there. Anybody doing construction to also use, workforce management tools that can export this data in close to real time as possible. Other layers will include the construction plans, construction progress and completion, verified loss data. In terms of fiber optics, one of the critical measures is doing loss testing, looking how much light loss you have at key nodes, because the light loss is the early indicator of the distance you can go on a fiber route. We're using what's called passive optical networks, and those are highly dependent on good fiber splices. And there's a requirement every time you do a splice to do the test and report the loss data for that splice. The loss data is in the design plan, the expected loss, and then the actual loss, and that's really critical for us to see. That's in the table file. And then the E911 level performance data is what I was talking about. We'll expect a piece of software to be put on every connection point to overlay what they call their ONTs, their optical network terminals, so that we can see in real time what's happening with the network performance. We're gonna, we're on a progress dashboard. This whole project is one of the governor's top priorities, which it should be. So the governor, wants to be able to, see that we're delivering what we planned on delivering, as well as the public. We owe that to everybody. It's when we're spending this kind of money. So, the construction progress, the connection progress, the performance of the system, you can aggregate all that latency and latency, upward download speeds, and be able to report that as one metric in pretty much real time. Customer service addressable stuff is for the consumer themselves. Service availability, if they're seeing speed problems on their computer or their phone, they can click and see what this optical network terminal at their house is showing. And if they know see a delta there, they know it's their problem. If they see that they're losing speed at the ONT, they know it's the system problem. Outages, we'll want to be able to have outage status, estimated recovery time cause, and then ongoing performance. And I will tell you, being a formal CEO of an electric utility, I was the CEO of Vermont Electric Co-op till 2018. The electric utilities now run on telecom. So if we even back in 2011 when Hurricane Irene came, the federal government, we were on this federal call and they told us we were going to lose telecom, and my face went white because we had never really planned on what to do if we lose telecom. So so telecom now is a critical infrastructure, more important than electricity, because if you lose your telecom, it's going to be hard to bring your electricity back. So we learned how to do outages very well in the electric utility business. Telecom business, has a ways to go. But it's my intent to bring that knowledge to the industry. And then, operational roll-up, data access inquiry tools, dashboard, broadband progress monitoring in terms of built miles, new connections. Talked about outage monitoring, system condition monitoring, and operational monitoring is important. It's like who's on the system and where. We're looking at right now is as part of this whole process to upskill 200 Vermonters to be able to provide ongoing maintenance to this entire system. And of course, when you've got people on your system, you want to know where they are in real time. And that'll be a layer in GIS. And certainly that's not going to, we won't need that for probably until about a year, but ongoing, that's something we'll think about. And ongoing support. We're going to, we want to be able to have, it's not just project level, it's also ongoing support. When we run into problems, we want to be able to call someone and get help. So here's a timeline of where we are. we are planning on starting construction of this, statewide in May of next year. We've set everything up so we can take advantage of next year's construction season. That means the end of the year we'll start lighting people up. So the operational stuff can be later on in this period. The early stuff we'll need in terms of construction reporting, and of course, the timeline is the timeline. We've got our timeline, but the law of physics comes to play with anything. So, I'm sure whoever we hire is going to do their best case, and you'll come up with your own timeline, and we'll figure out how to integrate those two. Here's an overview of the CUDs. I was talking about 497 out of the 251 member towns. We got almost 400 volunteer board reps. More than half the state's population is covered. Anyway, here's your contact information. There's 2 of us. You can get hold of either one of us, because we're joined at the hip. So I'll stop sharing my screen here, and I can figure out how to do that. I'm not sure. Where am I here? Hang on. Anyway, you can go start asking questions. I'll figure this out as I go. There we are. There we are. Okay. Are you still looking at the slide?
Yeah.
Still there, yes.
Okay. Let me figure out how to stop sharing the screen. It must be a reverse of what I just did, huh?
Probably in the upper right, there's maybe an X.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. That's easy. Okay. Go ahead and start with your questions.
Hi, Christine. Thank you for your presentation. It was very informative. We have a couple technical questions related to the RFP, as well as a couple more administrative questions. We can start with the administrative, starting with that. We received the RFP yesterday. Is there any chance for an extension on the deadline of next Friday to give a 2-week turnaround time?
Yes. We could, is that what you're asking, a week extension? Yes.
Yes.
I realize that. No problem. I anticipate that.
And then in terms of the RFP, there were 2 kind of deliverables matrices provided at the end of the SOW RFP. And we're just curious which one we should be using to develop our budget or cost proposal around.
Okay.
So
Yeah, go ahead. Talk. Maybe you can tell me what it was. I should have had that in front of me.
No worries. There's one called the deliverable and delivery schedule with expected or kind of anticipated dates. And there's another one called the deliverables matrix with some acceptance criteria. Now, they, for the most part, match up task numbers, but there is a little discrepancy towards the end with numbers matching up.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is,
yeah, go ahead.
This is Darwin. Maybe I can help with that. The second one, I think, is supposed to be meant as an example of what may end up in the SOW agreement. I think given the deliverables in that first matrix, that's probably how you want to structure your, your proposal. And when push comes to shove, right, we get those proposals evaluated in kind of terms of your suggested deliverables. And then when we get to writing an SOW agreement, you can expect a deliverables matrix similar to the second one that has like acceptance criteria and the full kind of estimated dates and whatever. I did notice that was a little confusing myself, yeah. And good on you that you caught that.
Yeah, and I also will tell you, like anything else, the desire of the executive director doesn't always reflect reality. So, you come back with some.
Yeah. Thank you. And then
I think what's I just wanted to say one more thing. What's key in that is you propose what you think is best, and then we negotiate this final SOW agreement based on your proposal.
Thank you so much. In terms of technical questions, one around kind of hosting and licensing. So who will own the Esri license for development, hosting, etc.? Is there any determination of who?
Well, yeah, we are going to own a license that you can operate under. And Darwin, or Joel, Joel or Darwin, you can ask it. Is that okay for me to do that?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
whatever you desire, Director Hallquist will make sure we work it out.
Okay.
Okay, great. How long in general is the contract for in duration? For example, is this considered, 1 year through March, or is with the ongoing support is anticipated to go for a couple more years, just for budgeting purposes?
Yeah, this right now is a budget year that's good till the end of July. But there will be an ongoing need here. But we can evaluate that as we get to the end of the, actually I'll be doing a new budget for next year. But right now I haven't even come up with my budget for this year. So, but with this, I did get the board to approve this expenditure. I'm actually proposing a budget for all of next year on October 18th. But this appropriation will carry to the end of July next year.
Excellent. So when we're budgeting ongoing kind of support, should we just estimate kind of frequency and kind of?
Yeah, and give us an hourly estimate as well. And what's your cost? What we're going to be paying per hour?
And then who is developing the standards for some of the reporting elements from the operators? It's a little bit more of it.
Oh, that's our job. We haven't done that yet. We're in the process. We're in the process right now of agreeing on design standards. And if any of you have been through standards discussion, that can be a little bit difficult. But certainly with what the contractor we get on board, we're going to look for some significant help in those reporting standards. Because again, I gave you a whole lot of set of goals. And none of those goals are based on reality. So kind of we're figuring this out as we go.
Excellent. I think that's all the questions we have for now. So thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Christine, my company submitted some questions yesterday in writing. Is that okay, and will they be responded to?
Sure, I will turn those right around.
Okay, and
So-
I sent them to the SOV account, the email address. Is that the right place?
Yes.
The one that was cited in the RFP. Okay.
Yeah, that would be my address. I should have that. I'm not sure I saw that.
I can resend to the 2 email addresses on the last slide of the presentation. I'll do that.
Send it to those addresses.
Great, thank you.
So just a quick follow-up question. This is Morgan Healy from AppGeo. I have kind of a long list of questions here, so I'll try to hit on some of them, but I don't want to necessarily take all the time unless we have it. But if we were to submit questions in writing, would you'd be able to respond to those?
Yes, I'll turn them around in 24 hours.
Okay, and then would we see, are you going to share all the questions that vendors ask with everybody?
Yes.
Yes, okay, fantastic. Can I fire a couple at you right now?
Sure.
Great, thank you. This is, can any vendor respond to this, or only vendors that are on the retainer contracts?
I guess I'll need some help. I don't know the state rules, so I don't want to get outside of that. Maybe Joel, you can answer, or Darwin.
Only the ones on the IT retainer.
So, okay, I just want to make sure I have the right one. Is there a specific, I want to make sure I have the right retainer contracts. Is it the IT professional services?
The retainer contracts are under the GIS. They're both under GIS, not IT professional services.
Yeah, you go to the webpage and click on GIS, do the search. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. One other question, kind of administrative, somewhere in the RFP, it mentioned the potential for multiple awards. Is that your intent, or are you intending just to do one award?
Well, I'd like to do just one, but, again, as I said before, you may not necessarily have all the technical ability to, there's the GIS side and there's the reporting side. So when I put these reporting desires out there, I don't know what it's going to take to do that. So, that's say what your capacity is, and we'll try to figure that out.
Okay, great, thank you. One question about the contract itself. Are you intending for this to be like a deliverables-based firm fixed price? Because there's also mention of T&M work. I'm just curious which way you're thinking, or if you know where.
Well, I'm thinking there's two. I'm thinking both. There's the initial, setting up of the layers. That's that's pretty standard in terms of the GIS world. You're gonna set up a map with the layers, and that'll be a deliverable price. And then there's time and materials for the things that we don't know, that we don't necessarily know how to do right now.
Okay, all right. So would you leave it to us to sort of propose which things we would put into which category?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right, this is just a question from our proposal person. I want to make sure I get it right. The SAO RFP section titled SAO Proposal Submissions. So there's a statement in there that says the SAO RFP response is to be submitted to the contractor set forth as with 4 attachments, I think, but there's only 2 attachments described. So there's maybe a little bit of a discrepancy. That's one that I could probably just send you in writing so that we can get some clarification on that.
Yep. I'll look for Joel or some state.
Okay. All right, great. I think we got one of our technical question was already answered. We've got a few data questions, and I know, Chris, I don't know if you want me to cover those, or do you want to jump in on some of those data questions?
Sure, I could jump in. This is Chris Peterson with Connected Nation. Regarding the assembly of data from existing broadband data resources, there are some activities there with asterisks and without asterisks where it indicates that the data would be collected and aggregated. I just want to see, is all the data that's going to be collected and aggregated from existing data resources, or is there a desire or need to collect data by other means?
Yeah, where the asterisk data exists at the Vermont GIS. Well, there's also another website within the Public Service Department, but we can. But anyway, those asterisks, those data layers already exist. The broadband data performance, although it exists, we know it's not accurate, so that we might be updating that as we go. The other data, your job is not necessarily to collect the data. We'll provide the data, but
okay.
Like planned fiber networks, we at all CUD operational locations, we're requiring the vendors who design these networks to provide that to us in shape files. So the data should be coming all to you. If not, I'll find a way to get it to you.
Okay. All right, great, thank you. And then one other question related to the data. I mean, is there an interest in where you feel like data accuracy could be better, or where data might be dated or incomplete? Is there interest in some kind of verification component, or are you?
Well, yeah, ultimately we know the broadband data is not accurate. The way this is set up with the state is, the Public Service Department is the regulatory arm of the state. So that'll always be the barometer that's used. But we know that barometer is wrong. So what we're saying as a CUD is we're going to ground truth that information. And ultimately, we're going to have it given to us electronically and, in ongoing performance. and we will feed that data back to the department to correct their database. So the way this, the way we're intentionally set up as a separate organization from regulatory, because our job is to get it built and get it done. And
Yeah.
that's contrary to the regulatory thinking. So the state want to keep maintaining that. So we will have, we will have some work to do in terms of data. And we also know, for example, that the, I've already done my own performance analysis of Vermont Electric Co-op and Green Mountain Poll data. That's really accurate from an XY coordinate. The vertical accuracy is not something we have anyway, but we also, as we find data that's inaccurate, it'll be our task at the VCBB to set up a project or get it, find ways to make it accurate.
Perfect. All right, great. Thank you.
Other questions?
I'll throw another one out there if nobody else is. I was curious about the there was mention of in the customer service and the operational applications publishing information about outages. I was just curious where do you have will that data be coming from different places to pull that all together in real time?
Yeah, that data will be coming from the hardware itself. So
okay.
There'll be self-reporting for the hardware. And that'll be aggregated through a SCADA network, and provide that information, and we'll integrate that into the mapping database. And that's I'm a hack with a lot of things, but that one I'm not even a hack on. I don't even know enough about it to talk about it.
That answers the question enough. Thank you.
Other questions? Well, I'll thank you all for participating. It's nice to see a good turnout here. And like I say, I'll take any questions you have and turn them around in 24 hours and share it with the rest of the group. Joel, how do I get the emails for all this? Is there?
I just checked the box and I see James's questions and I will forward them on to you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I get an email for everybody in the group here. So I copy it. Anybody? Yeah. Oh, I guess you've got all that, right? So as long as I'll form it. As long as I got the emails for everybody, I'll put a distribution list together and just make a group distribution list and answer the questions to the entire group.
And could you share the slide again with your email that we need to send questions to? Or if you're going to share the slides out, I can get it from that.
Okay. I'll do that right now and leave it up for a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Better at sharing the screen now.
Or just drop your email into the chat box, whatever works.
Yeah. Can you see that slide?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. So it's Christine.Hallquist@vermont.gov, HALLQIST, and Robert.Fish@vermont.gov. And if you want, just put both of us on the email.
Thank you.
And if you're asking questions and they are answered, I'll also need to be CC'd on that as well. This is, and my address is Joel, JOEL .collins@vermont.gov.
Right? Anything else? Okay, again, thank you for all joining us. I'll close the meeting now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you.